Hello everyone, this is Beastly Eel here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Andor. So this episode was definitely a weird one. At first I wasn't a huge fan of it, or at first glance it kind of was a little boring for me, right? But then I thought about it in more detail, and what we got to see here is a side of the rebellion that we have not seen in any of the movies. So we see that they're and TV shows, so like the Rebels, Rogue One, all these shows like that where we get to see the building blocks of the rebellion. They're already kind of strong and doing a lot of damage to the Empire, where this piece is not. It is unorganized. It is manned by people who don't know each other nor trust each other. So therefore you have all these different things going at each other at once, showing that the rebellion was not as organized as it was later on. Now, there was hints of that and talk about that, especially in Rebels, but we never got to see that much of it. We got to see the fact that there was somebody above pulling the strings and everything else, and that each individual group had their own thing, so they were more connected, when in actuality that was not the case. It seemed that way, that they were all connected, but they actually were not. Seeing that these guys are really just doing individual acts, even though they all are going towards the same goal, they never united as a front to actually take out the Empire together until much later. So, what we see here is the senator really losing control of her family, and the fact that she has no support from home whatsoever, and she wants to be against the Empire, but she really doesn't have any support, or doesn't seem to have any support, period, let alone support for the cause, but support for herself in general. She's not liked by her kids, she's not liked by her husband, and sounds like she's not liked by a lot of her colleagues. So I imagine that things are not going well for her in general. And then we have the mission at hand. Now, they've gone over the mission multiple times, thousands and thousands and thousands of times, and now we get to see this conflict between the group. And there's seven of them total, but six are at the camp the entire time, and they're getting at each other's throats. They're not trusting each other. They're not getting the answers that they need to hear, and because of that, they start to get skeptical of each other and start to go after each other. The big thing is Cassian. Cassian is the last one to join, and they know so little about him, and they don't trust him. It gets to the point where one of them actually goes to attack him because he wants to know more information about him. And in the end, Cassian finally explains what he's doing it for. Everyone else is talking about how the Empire ruined their family, their kids, their home, where they grew up, and everything else, where Cassian, yeah, it might have happened to him, but his biggest thing right now is money. And he's saying the only reason why he's doing it is so he can get paid. And he doesn't care what any of them think. In the end, he's doing it to get paid, and he doesn't want to do it for some great cause overall. So after they have this little beef, we obviously learn more about each one of them and why they're doing it. Now that I say that, I don't know if it's all of them. I think there's only four of them, other than Cassian, I believe, that have actually said why they've joined the rebellion. To go against the Empire, because the rebellion does not exist yet. So we get to see all that, and then they start to go towards the plan. So they go towards I call it the dam, but it's really their facility, the Empire's post. And they're going to be using the festival, like I said in the last video, to use that as a cover to go in, steal the container with all their money, basically, and credits, and escape. And it comes to find out that Cassian realizes that these guys really don't know what the heck they're doing. And they have no knowledge of the ship whatsoever. And I think that's the big thing that we notice in this, is without Cassian, this would not work, period. Not to say it will obviously work with him, but it sounded like there was like a 0% chance it would work without him, especially after hearing them talk and ask many questions about the ship itself. So anyway, that all happens, and like I said, there's a lot of beef between them, and they come to a census to a bit, right? So just for a little bit, they come to a census, and they're going to go with the plan overall. So while that's going on, they finally make it to the place. They let the lieutenant know that they're there, and the plan is about to begin, but the episode ends there. Now, the other piece is we have the guy who got Cassian trying to get information on what's going on, and he doesn't get any information whatsoever. He's trying to contact them and get nothing. And the other one's basically like, hey, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but you're not going to know until tomorrow because tomorrow's the day it happens. And they're most likely not going to give you any information until after it's done, and that's if it's successful. So that part ends. Now we have this other part where the security officer who was fired goes back home, and now his mother is basically asking for favors to get him work. And it's just a weird dynamic, and I'm curious at what he's going to be doing. But definitely intrigued overall, mostly because we don't know anything about him. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But it sounds like he's going to get a job in the Empire. Although that is not 100% confirmed, I'm just taking a guess. But he's still obsessed about Cassian. And that's pretty much all it was with him. Now there's another piece. Now it's the security or the informational bureau of the Empire. That woman who was trying to get access to the jurisdiction where Cassian stole a device from her area. Well, it turns out that she believes that all these acts against the Empire are coordinated attacks against it, that there are a larger group or syndicate going after the Empire. Nobody else believes it because they're too isolated. There are not multiple attacks in these areas. They are kind of one and done, showing resistance, and that is it. She believes that it's some sort of either rebellion or some sort of, like I said, group trying to weaken the Empire. She's the only one that thinks so, which I find very interesting, especially early on. I can imagine that they think it's just people resisting overall, and that the Empire has to just remove those threats. But that being said, we definitely are going to be seeing. Well, I'm hoping next episode we actually see the mission happen, first off. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I'm assuming, like I said, that the guy that got fired is going to be moving into the Empire in some sort of capacity. I also think that after the mission is completed, there's going to be enough evidence to prove that there is some sort of rebellion against the Empire, and the Empire is going to take these threats a little more seriously. Those are my predictions for right now, but it is still too early to know anything that's going to happen at all. So I'll be curious to see what they do and everything else. Now, that being said, there's a lot happening, and there's a lot of time still going on. And this is going very slowly, time-wise. And there are 5 years between this moment and when Rogue One starts. So, it's unclear of where it's going, in my personal opinion. We'll obviously see more and everything else, but we'll have to wait until the next episodes to know more. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. As always, if you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a good night.